Hey guys, I'm Adam86 and welcome back to the channel. A little bit of a different video for you guys today. Basically, I just kind of want to talk about Marcelo Flores a little bit. There's been a bit of a train of thought on Twitter and it's crept up a bit more and more over the last couple of weeks from various people. When it first cropped up, I admit, I got a little bit too irate about it because it was just, I don't know, it sounds pathetic and stupid, but I kind of took it really personally. Well, not really personally, but I took it personally for various reasons. Um, One maybe because it's Arsenal, and um, yeah. So Marcelo Flores, we're going to talk about basically his future and what I think is best for him, in my opinion, and what I think is going to actually happen. Um, Scored a really good goal last night, by the way, or this morning my time, against Liverpool. Dinged the goalkeeper, chipped the goalkeeper, scored Arsenal's only goal and like a 3 or 4 1 defeat. I can't remember. So we lost the game, but he had a really good game. Got quite high praise actually, which we'll talk about later. Um, but yeah, so basically, we're just going to talk about his future, different opinions on what that future should be. And yeah, I admit I took it a bit personally the first time this came up because for me, I mean, let's just go back to the beginning. So he joined Arsenal in 2019 um, from Ipswich, along with his sisters Tatiana and Savannah. Um, for a good year or so, all three were at Arsenal. Um, then Tatiana and Savannah moved to Chelsea. Savannah's moved on. She went to Reading, but now I think she's at Spurs. But fair enough. I don't think she's had her first team debut yet. Um, Even though I think she's 20 now. Um, and Tatiana's there as well. Well, no, she's still at Chelsea, sorry. Doing really well, killing it actually. I think she's going to be a top player. I think I think Tatiana and Marcelo are going to have big careers. I think Savannah's going to have a really good career as well. But from what I've read, Tatiana's going to be like really special in the women's game. Um, she's killing it in the under 17s, I think, over there in Chelsea. I haven't really followed her career too much because obviously it's Chelsea and um, yeah. Anyway, so he stayed at Arsenal, and then he was 16 at the time, and jumped straight into the under 18s. Did really well. Started becoming like a core player for the under 18s, and he was basically a core player for them for a good 2.5 years. Um, and then he turned 18 in October of last year, 2021, roughly 2 years after he joined Arsenal, and signed his first professional contract with them. 5 year deal, taking him to 2025, if I'm not mistaken. Um, no, yeah, so I think it's more than that. I think it's, yeah, it might be 2026. Anyway, he signed a 5 year deal last year, so yeah, 2026. In which case, in October 2026, he's going to be, what, 22? My maths is terrible. 18, yeah, so um, give or take a few months. Depends on whether his contract runs out before his birthday or not. Anyway, so he signed a 5 year deal, which apparently I saw. I think it was Daily Cannon that wrote an article about it. I swear he said it was unusual for a youth player to be offered a 5 year deal. I swear I read that one of Daily Cannon's articles. Prove me wrong if you want, but um, so yeah. So in that case, the whole time I've been following him since he joined Arsenal. Um, Daily Cannon obviously made an article on it about how we just got his three siblings, a boy and two girls that have gone into the Arsenal youth system, and for free from Ipswich, and they had Mexican descent. They had a Mexican dad, so I was like, oh, because you guys know I've got shirts to be real. I have a really huge love for Mexican footballs, and I'm thinking, oh, this is great, So, and it's given me kind of like a more of an in-depth, more of an injection of interest in the youth system at Arsenal, whereas I haven't really. Obviously, we all know about Saka and Smith Rowe, but um, you know, I think 99% of Arsenal fans didn't know who they were until they started playing for the first team. Same as me, to be honest with you. So following him and following Marcelo's story, I mean, particularly because he's the only one that stayed at Arsenal. Um, I've been following his story now for almost 2.5 years. Um, so it's kind of, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be an arrogant person, but like I've been following him for 2.5 years, whereas I would safely bet that a large majority of Mexico fans have only known he existed for the last 6 months, a year, and which is fair enough. I don't expect anyone else, especially in Mexico, to be following Arsenal's youth team. Um, but I've been doing YouTube videos about him. I think I read a couple of articles about him when I was still doing Viva Liga MX way back when. Um, so I've been following him for ages, and as soon as he got into the under 18s, he lit the place up, and everyone's raving about him. Daily Cannon's constantly raving about him. There's a guy I follow on Twitter called George Bird. I think he's like a journalist. He covers the youth teams. He writes articles. He gives game updates as the games go on for the under 18s as well as the under 23s. Invaluable. That guy is just knowledge, and it's great. You can ask him questions and he'll answer you. He's really awesome. So shout out to him. Um, so there are people that follow the youth team, and they've been raving about this kid. And obviously, you're thinking, well, these people, I would say their jobs really are following the youth teams, and for them to turn around and praise him like they've been doing, is like, for me, that gets my attention. That's like, that must be legit, because these guys watch the youth teams, both of them, the under 18s and 23s, every day, every week. So if anyone's gonna know, it's gonna be them, and they're not gonna turn around and say something that's not true. So, because why would they? Um, so yeah, fast forward to Christmas this year, this couple of months ago. He officially made the transition from under 18s before I start season, before the under 18s into the under 23s, and that was a big transition for me personally, because that's where I've been wanting him to go to. I wanted him to get into the under 23s as quick as possible, because the under 23s is the closest you can get to the first team. You're in the orbit then. In the Carabao Cup games, in FA Cup games, in lower league games, the coach could look at a couple of under 23 players and hey, let's just try this kid out, like they did with Saka, like they did with Smith Rowe. And he finally made the jump. It was a bit of a gradual one. I mean, he played a lot of games, like the end of December through to like the middle of February. He played a lot of games. He played a couple of games for the under 18s. I tweeted it out once, back in like I think it was the end of January. Um, I tweeted out that he played a couple of under 18 games, and then he went and played an under 23 game, or half a game, because I think he came off the bench for his first under 23 game. Then he went and played the under 21 EFL game that all the Mexico fans watched because it was televised. And then he went and played a couple more under 23 games. And he did all that in the space of about 3 weeks. No, 2 weeks. He played like, I think he played 3 or 4 full games with half a game chucked in the space of 2 weeks. And that for me was purely because he was making the transition from under 18s to the under 23s. He's made that transition now. He's not been a part of the under 18s now for a good 2 or 3 weeks. If maybe more, actually, maybe about a month. He's made that transition. That's it. He's definitely not an under 18 player anymore. So he should be. He's 18 now. He should be in the under 23s. Scored in his debut for the under 23s. Scored yesterday. I think he's on 3 goals now, if I'm not mistaken. So, and maybe an assist. I have to check the stats, but he's on multiple goals at least. And that's, for me, I'm really happy. Like, this is my goal the beginning of last season when I made my first Flores watch video back in this season. You can go back like 3 or 4 videos. I told you my goal was for him to get into the under 23s because once he's there, he's in the orbit of the first team. And he's done really well so far. And plus the fact that he's been playing for Mexico regularly, he made his first team debut against Chile. It's a friendly, so it doesn't really count in terms of holding him down. But it's significant. You know, he's now going to be able to turn around and say, "Yeah, I played for Mexico's first team." Like that must be it. Whether he's flirting with Canada, whether he's seriously considering Canada or not, that's going to be a life moment for him. And he's been killing it with with their under 20s. They played a couple of games against Costa Rica, which is also funny because Costa Rica has a youth team member in it as well. So he played against one of his teammates twice, which was pretty cool. I think he got an assist in one of the games. I don't think he scored in either game, but I think he got an assist in one of them. So it's doing really well, you know. And so let's just get into the whole issue about his future. So I just want to say that I'm gonna use Saka and Smith Rowe as an example of why he should stay at Arsenal. Even though I should say that Saka's a bit of an anomaly, where he went from the under 23s into the first team, and that was it. That pretty much never happens. Um, he's just that good. He was that good that he came in and forced himself onto the first team, and now he's one of our best players and most important players. Smith Rowe was slightly different. He went out on loan a couple of times. Did really well on those loans. He learned a lot. But obviously he's then come back and he's now so it's slightly different but kind of similar because they're both like under 21. I think Smith Rowe might be 22. Saka's like 20 or something stupid. Um, but they are examples, you know. So going into the argument that other people have made, I'm not going to mention their names because I don't want to call anyone out. I mean, I'll put it in the comments if you want to, if they turn and want me to, but I'm not going to name them. But the school of thought is basically that he should leave Arsenal, go to a lower league club in like Belgium or Holland or even Germany, and play for a first team somewhere, maybe like a Ghent or Hoffenheim or something stupid like that. Because they think that I don't know. I think that they think that the under 23s is some kind of cesspit where Arsenal will just chuck their players in and go, okay, well, you're playing for the under 23s. We don't have to play you in the first team. You're getting football. We're just going to leave you there. That is what some teams treat the under 23s like Chelsea, for example. Arsenal's not like that. Arsenal have actively, or to be fair, they've always dipped into their youth system for players more than others. And I turned around to somebody today. I said Arsenal has the best academy in England, one of the best academies in the world, and not just because they produce really good players. You can find an Arsenal academy product anywhere in the world. To be honest with you, but the fact that they actively give the chances. Now, Arteta's changed, ish, the 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 outlook of Arsenal. Under Emery, for example, it was let's just spend big, and we bought Pepe for 70 odd million. We bought Leno in as well. We bought a lot of players. We spent a hell of a lot of money, and most of those players haven't worked out. We spent a lot of money on David Luiz. He was kind of alright. We spent a lot of money on Willian. That was a massive flop. Aubameyang did really well up to a point and then stopped. Seems to be doing alright in Barcelona now, which is cool for him. But we spent a lot of money on a lot of players, and I think Arteta's. I think at some point we were forced somewhat to play Smith Rowe and Saka, and it kind of was fortunate that they're so good. They're such good players that the mistake. It wasn't a mistake, but the forcedness of it kind of paid back because they were good. And I think that's made Arteta and the people at the club, back staff or whatever, they've realised that we make really good players. If why spend 50 odd million on a winger or a centre attacking midfielder when we can pick one out of the youth system. So for me, Arsenal's a massive club in terms of giving the chances. If it was at any other club, if it was at City, Chelsea, Man United, those three, and maybe Liverpool might. Mainly because they've got no depth whatsoever. They've got a world class first 11, but they've got no depth whatsoever. They can have an 18-year-old kid come off the bench. They do. They've got a couple. So, if he was at any other club, if he was at Chelsea, for example, then I would be inclined to say, okay, let's do that. Let's move him on, because Chelsea never promote from within. They've never done that, despite famously having Uli de Villa and hundreds of kids out on loan at one point. It was ridiculous. None of them ever played for the first team. I would understand that, but Arsenal actively, we've seen with Saka and Smith Rowe, and it's not, maybe Saka's a bit of an anomaly, but I believe that Marcelo's going to go the Smith Rowe way. So that's what they think. They think they should leave. They think that the club's just holding him back. This is what I think. I've tried to explain what they think. They probably don't think I've done a good job, but I think that's what they think. I disagree with it. Mainly, yes, there is a part of it is because it's Arsenal, and I love Arsenal, and hell yeah, I want to have a Mexican player play for Arsenal again. When he does get his first team debut, and I believe it is when, not if, he'll be the second Mexican player to play for the Arsenal men's team. Obviously, Silvana's technically the first and only Mexican lady to play for the women's team. She got her first team debut in a pre-season tournament just before they left to Chelsea. So technically she's the first Mexican woman, but he'll be the second, obviously, after my boy Vela over there. So yeah, there was an element of nostalgia. There's, it's my club. He's a Mexican player. He's great. But there's also the fact that I've been following him for 2.5 years. I know how good he is. I knew how good he is before pretty much everyone else in the Mexican fan community, anyway. And I'm not bragging about it. It's just the fact that I know what I'm talking about more so than you'd think by talking about him, because I've been following him for years. And for me, it's just annoying when he finally gets to where I've wanted him to be, which is in the U23s. And he's finally there. He's training with the first team fairly regularly. He's killing it in the under-23s at the moment. And to have people say, well, he should leave. He's been held back. It's a negative in being there. That really grates. That's why I took it a little bit personally, because it's like, dude, you're not seeing the bigger picture. First of all, I'm going to say something now that I've been saying like a broken record for the last couple of weeks, and that is he's 18. He's only just turned 18 as well. He's almost 18 and a half years old. Like, he has time, really. He has time to be in the under-23s. He's learning. He's training with the first team. He's in and around first team players. He's learning way more, I think, in the under-23s than he would do at a Genk or at a Schalke or all these small, I say smaller clubs. They are smaller, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but they are, and it's not like there's no competition. The under-23s league is hard. They got smashed by Liverpool yesterday. If he was going in and scoring 5 goals every game and they were winning the game, and he was blatantly too good for the under-23s and still not in the first team, then yeah, I would be thinking, okay, maybe it doesn't look like they fancy him. But like George Bird, I'm going to go into George Bird said yesterday, and he tweeted out just after the game saying that, he was praising Omari Hutchinson, who some have put above Flores in the pecking order. It's Charlie Patino at the moment, and then Omari Hutchinson, and then Flores. Um, I just want to, before I do that, I just want to say that last season, middle of last season, around about this time last season, he was on the bench twice for the under 23s, and this was before, I guarantee you, 99% of the Mexican fans knew who he was, knew he existed. He was on the bench for a couple of games. I was really excited because I'm thinking, cool, he's finally going to get his under 23s chance, and then he gets injured. And it was a fairly decent injury as well. He kept him out pretty much the rest of the season. I think he came back towards, like, I think he played like the last 2 or 3 games for the under 18s before the end of last season. So that held him back. So really, if he hadn't got injured, he probably would have finished last season in the under 23s, which he would have been 17 by that point. But he got injured. So then he had to recuperate. He played a couple of games for the under 18s. He went in this summer preseason. I think he played in a tournament with Mexico over the summer, if I'm not mistaken. And then he came back, started the season in the under 18s, played pretty much half the season in the under 18, killed it again, and then made the jump into the under 23. So I think that he's a little bit behind schedule. I think he probably would have been ahead of Omari Hutchinson, probably even around Patino. Patino's blatantly the next kid that's going to be getting his debut. He's already got his debut, but he's the next kid that's going to start getting regular first team action. Or maybe go on loan. He might go on loan. But Flores is up there. I think he would have been up there with Patino if he hadn't got injured. So no, I don't think everyone realizes that he got injured last season. So I think that hindered his progress a little bit. He actually had to get back to match fitness and then get back into the under 18 thing, and then go into the under 23s. For us, that's easy. So going to George Bird's comment yesterday, he's basically saying that Omari Hutchinson's a really, really good player, but his opinion is that Flores is the best prospect that we have at the moment. Now, I don't know whether he included Patino in that, but he definitely said that Flores is a better player than Hutchinson. Hutchinson's brilliant, by the way. Really good. He's a really good player. So for him to say that's not just him tweeting out something. His job basically is to follow the Arsenal youth team. He's not just going to come out and say, I think this kid's the best player we have in this youth system without genuinely meaning it, because that's his job. And he would know. He's probably watched more Arsenal under 23 games than under 18 games than the rest of us put together, even most Arsenal fans. So he knows what he's talking about. For him to turn around and say, I think he's the best prospect that we have at the club, for me, that's a really massive sign. I retweeted it, said this is a big statement, because it is. It's a big statement for him to say that, to stake his reputation on it. But it's also a big statement for Marcelo, because Marcelo, hopefully he's read that, maybe his dad, and they've gone, okay, cool, we're on the right, and he's on the right track. For me, like I said, he needs to get into the under 23s. He's done that. The trouble is, he's done that in Christmas, if it had been last summer, which it could have been if he hadn't got injured, then he might have been able to play in a Carabao Cup game. He might have been able to play a first stage of the FA Cup. So I think that's where he's going to get his debut. At the moment, all our league games, they're not going to give under 23s a look in, because all our league games now is must win. He has to use his first team, because we have to win our games to get our top four. So he's not really going to get a look in, really, at least till the end of the season, in my opinion. That's what I think. I think what will happen is he'll stick out the under 23s for the rest of the season, get 6 months-ish of under 23s regular game. Bearing in mind, most of his opponents are going to be 22, 3, maybe even 4 years older than him. As an 18-year-old, that's a bit of a jump. So the idea that he's not playing against grown men, I think, is a little bit false. So yeah, there's a whole massive thing behind it that I don't think a lot of people know of. I don't know if anyone knew that he got injured last season, and it was a decent injury as well. It kept him out for about 3 months, and it held him back. Um, I just think that he's gonna stay in the under 23s for the season, rest of the season. I think he's gonna maybe hopefully do something with Mexico over the summer. And then hopefully, there's rumours that Arsenal are going to go to the US in the summer. Hopefully, he gets invited to that. If he does, then that looks really promising. And then I think he comes back, plays in the under 23s at least beginning the first month or so of the season. Then gets his debut in the Carabao Cup, hopefully in like September time, October time, and then goes on loan. So I think that's what's going to happen. Unless he does a Saka, it depends on what position he plays because he kind of floats. I see him as a cam, a number 10. Um, but he can do a really good job out of the wings. So maybe it depends. It depends on what we do. If we move Martinelli up into striker, which doesn't seem like it's going to happen anytime soon, but if we do, then there's a spot on the left wing open. He could go into that. Or maybe he puts Martinelli up front, Saka on the right, and then has Smith Rowe on the left, and then maybe Flores comes in at number 10 because Odegaard seems to be wanting to be a bit more back, a bit more at the back a bit. He likes to feed balls through to someone in front of him. He doesn't like to be at the front. He wants to be at the back. So I can see him, Odegaard being kind of behind the number 10. Or we get a new striker in. And we rotate him on the wings with Saka or Martinelli or Smith Rowe. But I think, for me personally, I think he goes out on loan. I think he gets his first team debut and then goes out on loan. And I wouldn't be surprised if they renew his contract purely for his wage. Because I think once he gets his first team debut, I think he deserves a pay rise. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. Bit of a debate. This video is a long one, sorry. But it's just an issue that's starting to crop up a bit, and it was annoying me a little bit. I'll just get my points out because, bro, if I typed all this out, it'd be like a 70-page essay, and I just don't want to do that. Let me know if you agree with me. Let me know if you disagree. Let me know why. We'll have a conversation. We're having a conversation about it on Twitter anyway, so have one in the comments. I just think he's better off where he is right now. He's an 18-year-old kid. He's at the best academy in England. That gives chances to kids, and I just don't think he would get anything more out of moving. And there seems to be this mad rush. Because I think what it is, it's the national team. People are rushing with him in the national teams. They want to make him make that decision. We all want him to go, okay, I've chosen Mexico, and that's it. And we're impatient for that. Well, I am, because, obviously I want him to represent Mexico, but that kind of need and impatience has kind of bled into his Arsenal career at the moment, where people that have only just known that he exists, only just known, not only do Arsenal have a Mexican national team under 18 player, but he's actually really, really good. He's a good player. And suddenly it's like, oh, but he can go to Canada. Oh no, he needs to go to Mexico. He needs to sign for Mexico, blah blah. And they start to think, well, he's not getting first team minutes at Arsenal, so why would Mexico call him up if he's not being called up for Arsenal? That's not what happens. That's not what's going on here. When he got his debut for Chile, he was still just an under 18 player for Arsenal. He wasn't even an under 23 at the time, and they still called him up. His national team career and his club career are completely separate things until he gets to about 21, 22, and if he's still messing around in the under 23s, then I'll be going, okay, let's just move him on. But I don't see that happening anyway. I mean, first of all, I think his contract runs out, I think, when he's 22. So, by that point, he's either going to have left Arsenal or gone on loan or be in the first team. I don't think he's going to be playing the under-23s by that point. But I can see him playing for the under-23s for another season, really, until he's like 19 and a half, 20 years old. Why not? Like, you're at a great academy, you're playing against good opposition, you're getting regular game time, you're getting loads of decent coaching stuff, and you're in and around the first team. And I guarantee you, Marteta's seen him, physically watched him train multiple times, and it's gonna get more because the more well he does in under 23s, the more notice that Arteta's going to take of him. And I guarantee you, Arteta knows who he is, and he's on the list of players that he wants to have in and around the squad. But there's also no rush for the national team, really. For his point of view, he doesn't need a rush. And it's not because like he's wavering or he doesn't know. I don't think Canada is going to come in and go like, oh, we've suddenly stolen him. I think his actions so far have yelled out and screamed that he wants to play for Mexico, but he's willing to wait. He's not gonna put all his eggs in one basket. He's gonna wait, and if flirting with Canada keeps Mexico on their toes, then fair enough. From his point of view, why not? He wants to be valued. He wants to be noticed. Having two national teams vying for him keeps him in their brains, and both their brains. So he's doing exactly what I would do, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. I want him to sign for Mexico full time. I want him to play for. I want him to play for Mexico and Arsenal's first teams. Like, I really want that. But I know that it's not going to happen tomorrow or 6 months from now. He's 18. Like I keep saying it, I say it a lot. He's 18. He's only 18. The only player that I know of that's broken to a Premier League first team at the age of 18 was Saka. And Saka's special. By the time he's 24, 25, he's going to be one of the best players in the world. Even earlier than that, to be honest with you. He's that good. He's special. And Flores is good too. Flores is brilliant. Like I said, like George Bird said, he's the best player in the youth system. The whole of it, all the ages, all the under 23. Bearing in mind, he's been in the under 23s for about a month. And he's already the best. According to an expert, he's already the best player in the team. Tells you a lot, and tells you that's not going to go unnoticed. Arteta's going to pay attention to that. All the coaches are going to pay attention to that. He's exactly where he needs to be right now. I wanted him to be at the beginning of the season. Like I said, I wanted him to be at the first. wanted him to be in the under 23s. I didn't want him to be in the under 18s anymore, which he's done. And he's still playing for Mexico fairly regularly. He plays for Mexico every couple of months or so. Like, for me, I'm happy with that for now. It's not a definite thing, But like I said, if it gets to like 20 years old, 21, and he's still not played for the first team, then hell yeah, I'm going to be thinking, okay, maybe he should leave. But I don't think he gets anything out of moving to a lower club, even if he starts in the first team, because he's not gonna. For me, he doesn't get into a Bayern Munich starting 11. He doesn't even jump into Dortmund's first 11. Who else is there? I mean, he could, I guess, learn a deal at Ajax. They produce young players, but so do Arsenal. And I just think that, for me, he's being trained and coached to play in a Premier League team against Premier League opponents. He won't be able to do that. You see all these Bundesliga players coming over from Germany into England, they flop. Werner flopped. Xhaka hasn't really performed. Kolasinac hasn't performed. Is it Havertz? Havertz is only... Is it Havertz? Ziyech? I think Havertz. Havertz has only just started to kind of really show what he can do. And he's been at Chelsea for a year and a half. Like, it takes a lot. And for me, I think I'd rather him spend another year or two in the under 23s, gradually being put into the first team, than going to an inferior league, because there's just no point. But yeah, anyway, guys, I've rambled on too long. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Let me know if you agree with me or not. Um, this is what I think. This is my opinion. It's what I've an overview of his whole Arsenal career today. Because I think a lot of people just discovered him last year and went, "Oh my God, there's a Mexican player in the Premier League that's really good and hasn't committed to Mexico yet." And people are just thinking, well, if he play first team football somewhere, he's going to get nailed down in the first team. I don't see Tata Martino calling him up. Even if he went to, I don't know, a Schalke and did really well, I don't think he's going to call him up. Because Tata doesn't call young players up unless he absolutely, really is forced to. I think he's just good where he is. Why not? He's 18. He's learning. He's doing brilliantly. I really would be astounded unless he gets injured. God bless it, he doesn't. Hopefully, touch wood, he doesn't. I really cannot see any reason why he can't get his first team debut next season. I just think at the moment every game matters. It's only the league now. We see Amari Hutchinson on the bench a couple of times and hasn't come on because we've needed to win the game, and Arsenal have been a bit wobbly and not winning comfortably. So we don't want to risk bringing any kid on when we need to win the game. So it's a bit of an awkward time first team wise at the moment, but that all changes in the summer. I can see Pepe leaving. I can see Lacazette leaving, even though he scored a really good goal the other day, and he's captain. But I still see them both leaving. I do think we'll get a striker in. And then there's a winger option open. Who's going to cover Saka at right wing? Could be Flores. Who's going to cover Martinelli? If we move Smith Rowe to number 10, who's going to cover Martinelli on the left wing? Could be Flores. Or who's going to cover number 10 if Smith Rowe goes out wide with Martinelli and Odegaard's in number 10? Who's going to cover him? Could be Flores. So I think he's good at the moment. I personally am quite happy with him. I'm really happy where he is right now, to be honest with you. He's been in the under 23s for about a month or so. And he's killing it. All the journalists say that he's killing it. So why move? Why move him out? He can learn so much at Arsenal. So, and we give him a chance. So if he just stays doing what he's doing, if he stays improving, which he's been doing, if he keeps doing it, then I don't see any reason why he can't become an Arsenal football player in the next couple of years or so. So let me know if you disagree. Let me know if you agree. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around for nearly 40 minutes. That's strange. I think I go to sleep. Anyway, take it easy, guys. I'll see you guys soon for another Flores Watch video. I was going to do one for the Liverpool game yesterday, but he scored a goal and it's great. And I put the video on my YouTube, but it wasn't that much content that I could talk about, so I thought I'd talk about this instead. So leave a like if you like the video, and subscribe if you haven't already, and if you haven't already, check on all my Flores Watch videos. They're in the playlist Flores Watch. You can go back to the very beginning. I did a video when he signed his first contract, first professional contract on his 18th birthday. Did a video for a lot of things, debut goal. So yeah, go back and watch more if you don't believe me or if you're interested. So they go back a couple of years. So anyway, take it easy, guys, and I'll see you guys very soon. Adios.